Post-production includes many steps that are critical to file management. One misstep can ruin a whole project, or worse, lose files forever. By following the steps in this video, you should be able to set up a project in Apple's Final Cut Pro, reset the scratch disks, import P2 files, and successfully label your clips so it will be easier to search for them in the future. Today we are going to use Final Cut Pro 7. Setting up a project in Final Cut Pro will be very similar in other versions of the software. It's always important to develop good habits every time you open Final Cut Pro. First, let's set the scratch disks. Simply click on Final Cut Pro in the top left-hand corner of the screen. Go down and select System Settings. This is where you will set your scratch disks. Setting your scratch disks is important because you are telling the computer software where to save all of your information from the project. If you do not reset these every time, or at least check them to make sure they haven't changed, then you may not be able to find assets of your project. This may involve things such as reconnecting media. It will also be harder if you want to open the project on another computer or go back to it after an extended time. Select the first box on the right and navigate to your desktop. You're going to create a new folder by pressing the button New Folder, and we'll call this one Test. Inside the test folder on your desktop is where you will send your entire projects and its assets to save. After doing the first one, go down to the lower three and repeat the process, making sure that you're setting it to save in the same test folder on your desktop. After we have changed the location of these four settings, you can save your project. If you do not set all four to go to the same folder, your project will be separated and could cause issues later. Now go File, New Project. Or if a new project is open, then you can simply go File, Save Project As. Then name the project and make sure you save the project in the same test folder on your desktop. Doing this is a crucial step to make sure your timeline and Final Cut Pro project are in the same place as all of your scratch disks. Now you have successfully set up a project in Final Cut Pro. Remember these steps every time you start a new project. Every time you open Final Cut Pro to work on an existing project, it is vital that you check to make sure your scratch disks are saved in the correct file. Let's move on to importing Panasonic P2 footage into this test project. First, connect the external card reader to the computer via USB. Then, plug in the power cable. Always remember to move the right protection tab into position before inserting into the reader. Next, insert the P2 card into the card reader, and make sure you push the card in gently until it snaps in. The green light will flash when the card is recognized. Now that the media is connected, go File, Log and Transfer. This is the screen that you will see when you are importing your footage. You see on the left-hand side are all your clips, identified with random letters and numbers in the name column. The easiest place to change the clip name is on the right side of the screen, underneath the preview window. When you have a clip selected in the left-hand side of the screen, you can preview the clip in the top right-hand to see what it is if you need help getting more detail about the shot. Below the preview screen, there is a dialog box that is labeled Clip Name. Change the names of all the clips and add as much detail as possible. If it's an interview, put their name and the topic. If the clips are outside B-roll, state the season. If it's an interior, state the building. The more specific you are, the easier it will be to find later. I'm just going to go through real quick and change all of these names of all these clips so we have an example. It is very important to rename your clips before you import them. If you do not, then these random letters and numbers will be the name of the clip in the Capture Scratch, and this will not help you search or easily identify clips in the future. Once you've finished naming all of your clips, simply drag and drop the clips that you've renamed and add them to the box at the bottom of the screen. The upload will start immediately. If you wish to select all the clips at the same time and drag and drop them, simply use your Shift key on your keyboard to use Select All. All of your clips should appear in your project bin. Once all the clips have finished and the bottom box is empty, exit out of the log and transfer screen by hitting the X in the top left-hand corner. After importing, it is always critical to save your work. Now go File, Save All. It never hurts to double check your Capture Scratch folder in the project to make sure you sent the files to the right place. In this case, it looks like all of our clips has been sent to the Capture Scratch in the test folder on our desktop. Remember to disconnect the P2 reader by dragging the no name icon on your desktop to the trash. Once it unmounts, you're safe to disconnect the USB and power cables and eject the P2 card from the reader. After successfully following all of these steps, you will have set up a project in Apple's Final Cut Pro, learned how to reset the scratch discs, import P2 files, and successfully labeled all your clips so it's easier to search for in the future.